We're in Hollywood, as we all know, and it had become about box office, and you chase the box office. And the box office in our business that we know is very loud, and it can be very resounding, and it could push you into a category and into a corner, and this is your lane, and this is what you do, and this is what people want you to be, and this is what Hollywood wants you to be. And I understood that. And I made those movies, and I liked them, and they were fun, and some were really good and did well, and some not so good. I think what I did realize is that the most important thing, I just had this burning desire and this just voice that was saying, well, again, what if? But what if there is more, and what if I can? And a lot of times it's harder for us to, or at least for me, sometimes to know what you're capable of when you've been pigeonholed into something. It's harder to know, wait, can I do that? I feel like I can. And sometimes it takes people who you love and you respect to say, you can. I don't think it's anything to prove to Hollywood as much as it's just for me now.
For years, everyone's known The Rock as that unstoppable force, huge, solid, and built like a tank. His entire brand was being the biggest, toughest guy in any room, tipping the scales at over 300 pounds of pure muscle. But now, people are noticing something that's got them talking. New photos have surfaced showing a very different version of him, leaner, lighter, and way less massive than before. Word is, he's dropped around 60 pounds, and it totally shows. His once bulky face looks tighter, sharper, and even his whole frame seems toned down. Some fans love it, saying he looks refreshed and more human, like he's finally found a rhythm that's easier to maintain. But others aren't buying it. They say he's lost that Rock vibe, that without his larger-than-life frame, he just doesn't pop the same way. And of course, the internet jumped in fast with memes calling him the Pebble. It's wild. Now, here's where things get interesting. The Rock's size has always been a hot topic. He once opened up about using performance enhancers when he was young, and plenty of people think that might have continued later on, quietly. At 53, though, the body starts throwing warnings. No one can stay superhuman forever. Maybe the smaller build is about protecting his health, finally slowing things down after pushing limits for decades. But there could be another reason too. Hollywood's relied on him for years as the go-to action powerhouse, the unbreakable guy who always wins. That image made him a superstar, but also trapped him in the same type of role. Maybe this transformation isn't just physical, it's a career move, a way to shift gears, reinvent himself, and finally step into roles that show a whole new side of who he is. The big question now is, has The Rock just flipped the whole script on Hollywood, his image, and everything we thought we knew about him? Earlier this month, he showed up at the Venice Film Festival for his new movie, The Smashing Machine, and this one's nothing like his usual lineup. No superheroes, no explosions, no big-budget chaos. This time, it's personal. The film dives into the life of Mark Kerr, an MMA fighter who rose to fame in the late 90s before everything spiraled. Addiction, heartbreak, and total collapse. Directed by Benny Safdie and co-starring Emily Blunt as Kerr's wife, Dawn, the project is raw and grounded.
That The Rock has now lowered his doses. I don't think he's 100% natural. When you go from abusing steroids for perhaps 30 straight years, your body is going to shut down. Your HPT axis is going to be lowered. You're not going to have testosterone produced. Your LH, FSH hormones are going to be in the toilet. And so if he actually just cut out testosterone cold turkey, he would have brain fog, he would feel horrible, he wouldn't be able to use the downstairs effectively. It wouldn't be very good.
To embody Kerr, Dwayne went all in. He bulked up to match Kerr's real-life build and even wore facial prosthetics to reshape his nose, brow, and jawline. For once, he wasn't stepping into a role as The Rock. He was disappearing into someone else completely. When the film premiered in Venice, the response was electric. The crowd gave him a standing ovation that lasted over 15 minutes. He stood there holding back tears, clearly overwhelmed. Critics were quick to react too, calling his performance vulnerable and career-defining, comparing it to classics like The Wrestler and Raging Bull. This wasn't the typical hype over his star power. It was about his craft, his depth, his transformation. At the press conference afterward, he confessed this was the kind of work he'd been craving for years. What makes it even more fascinating is the story he chose to tell. Mark Kerr's life isn't about triumph. It's about pain, loss, and finding strength in weakness. For someone who's always played the unstoppable hero, The Rock stepping into a role built on vulnerability feels like a total game changer. Mark Kerr was a champion, no doubt about it, but he was also a man haunted by his demons. Addiction, public meltdowns, brutal losses. His life spiraled in ways that shocked the fighting world. And here's what makes The Rock's choice to play him so wild. This is a guy who's had it written in his movie contracts that he can never lose a fight. So stepping into the shoes of a man who lost everything is the total opposite of everything he's ever built his image on. Dwayne admitted he's wanted to take on a role like this for years, but the timing's what really raises questions. Why now? For most of his career, he's basically played himself. Whether it was Fast and Furious, Jumanji, San Andreas, Skyscraper, or Jungle Cruise, it was always the same energy. The unbeatable hero cracking jokes, saving lives, walking away without a scratch. Fans weren't watching a character, they were watching The Rock. That unbreakable image became his trademark. It wasn't just the muscles, it was the myth. He built an empire around being the guy who never loses. The formula worked like magic at the box office, making him Hollywood's highest paid star and a global brand all on his own. But along the way, something got lost. Respect. Critics didn't see him as an actor anymore, just a guaranteed hit machine. And that's why his recent changes hit so hard. It's like watching him break out of his own mold. So what finally pushed him to reinvent himself? Maybe it wasn't just about movies. It might have been about survival.
What looked to be some stuff inside the,
like a buildup of
like
what
a
they thought was
buildup,
plaque.
what they thought was
And
plaque in the circumflex valve
in the artery, yeah.
in the artery, right? And then when we looked at that on the old school traditional MRI and the scans, it looked like it had buildup. And then immediately the call to action was, all right, well, let's get you on this medication. It's a multi-month medication, and here we go. We got to get on it right away.
Just a few months back, The Rock opened up on Dr. Mark Hyman's podcast about a health scare that left him shaken. During the talk, he revealed that doctors had spotted something worrying. One of his heart arteries might have a blockage. That kind of news would make anyone's heart skip. The Rock immediately reached out to Hyman for a deeper checkup, going through advanced AI scans to be sure. Luckily, the results showed no plaque at all, just a harmless irregularity that looked worse than it was. Still, that moment clearly rattled him. When you're 53 and facing even the idea of heart trouble, it hits different. It forces you to face the reality that no amount of muscle can outfight time. That wake-up call might have been the turning point. The moment he realized it was time to step away from the invincible persona and start showing the real man underneath.
Been using and abusing performance-enhancing drugs for years, and what do you think that does?
He's been pushing his body to the edge for decades, but one thing from that podcast really caught people's attention. The episode ran for 37 minutes and covered nearly everything about his health. Gut issues, diet, genetics, heart scares, you name it. But here's the twist. Not once did he mention steroids or any kind of performance enhancers, not even a hint. And for someone whose size and strength have been questioned his entire career, that silence spoke louder than words. It was impossible to ignore. Fans noticed right away, and the reaction online got heated fast.
Actually come off steroids. Now, love him or hate him, this guy is on the top of the charts when it comes to fake naturals. He's right up there with Mike O'Hearn. However, the show looks like it's finally coming to an end. He recently found out that he had plaque buildup in his circumflex artery from his decades of gear use. Now, the reason why this plaque buildup can be so fucking dangerous is because it can lead to heart attacks, strokes, or aneurysms, which is probably why he decided to hop off. Now, steroids in general, especially when taken in high doses, can have an extremely negative effect on your cholesterol, blood thickness, and your blood pressure, which can accelerate plaque build.
The video's like to dislike ratio tells the story. More than half the viewers hit that thumbs down button. Scrolling through the comments, you can practically feel the frustration. People keep asking the same question again and again. How can you talk about The Rock's health for almost 40 minutes and not address the one topic everyone's curious about? That moment lit up social media, because when someone as famous as him avoids the most controversial part of his image, it leaves everyone guessing. Whether it was a strategic choice, a PR move, or just him staying quiet to keep things clean, fans couldn't stop debating. One thing's for sure, his silence didn't calm the rumors, it only made them grow louder. People aren't blind. They know exactly what's been hanging over The Rock's head for years. If there's one thing that's truly put his long-term health at risk, it's those never-ending rumors about performance enhancers. Whether he's admitted anything or not, that topic has followed him everywhere he goes.
Why would you do that when there's video evidence showing that you're not? Why can't The Rock, for once in his life, simply tell us the truth? He lies about almost everything. He says exactly what you want to hear. Oh, The Rock eats 6,000 or 7,000 calories a day. The Rock doesn't eat 6,000 calories a day.
Recently, an Instagram user posted a video breaking down his transformation, claiming The Rock had hopped off the gear. What shocked everyone was that he actually replied. He jumped into the comments himself, saying it was 100% not true. For someone like him, who almost never claps back at random posts online, that kind of reaction stood out big time. Fans instantly started wondering if the comment hit a nerve. According to The Rock, though, his weight loss has nothing to do with health scares or performance enhancers. He says the real reason is his next big project, Lizard Music. In it, he's taking on the role of a strange, older character known as the Chicken Man, a part that demands a leaner, weaker, more fragile look, completely opposite of the muscle-bound action hero we're used to seeing. And honestly, it adds up. After transforming his body for the smashing machine, downsizing again isn't just practical, it's smart. He's adapting, showing versatility, and proving he can shapeshift for his art. What once looked like a midlife crisis might actually be one of the boldest reinventions of his career. This move proves The Rock can pull off something totally different, and that's powerful. It's building him real credibility as an actor, not just a blockbuster machine. Plus, it conveniently gives him a reason to drop some muscle and take better care of his health long term. At 53, after decades of intense workouts and constant strain, carrying that much size just isn't realistic anymore. But online, not everyone's buying the story. One viral comment joked, The Rock after his doctor told him he had to stop the gear or risk a heart attack, while another pointed out Hulk Hogan, a wrestling legend who built his fame on muscle and sadly passed away at 71 from heart issues. Those comparisons hit hard.
Well, aside from building a freaking physique such as this, it also causes a host of negative side effects, one of which it sets you up for a heart attack. Your heart is going to grow bigger, which sounds good, but it's not. Left ventricular hypertrophy is not something that you want.
When you've lived in the same world, built the same way, and start creeping into your 50s, headlines like that start to feel personal. That's why so many people think The Rock's sudden weight loss isn't random. It's survival. The timing lines up too perfectly to ignore. But here's where it gets real. If someone's been running heavy cycles for years, quitting cold turkey isn't just tough, it's brutal on the body. You don't just shrink, you crash. That's why the more believable theory floating around isn't that he quit completely, but that he's cut things way down. Lower doses, slower pace, something that keeps him looking solid without destroying his health in the process. In a way, it's not just about image anymore. It's about staying alive long enough to enjoy what he's built. The Rock's slimmer look might be helping him score new respect in Hollywood, but it could also be shutting a major door behind him. Dropping all that size doesn't just change how movie directors view him, it changes how the wrestling world sees him too.
I had been very fortunate to have the career that I've had over the years and make the films that I've made. There was just voice inside of me, the little voice that, well, what if I could do more, and I want to do more, and what does that look like?
Earlier in 2024, he made a big splash returning to WWE storylines, even stepping into the spotlight at WrestleMania alongside Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Fans went wild, thinking a full in-ring comeback was right around the corner. But now, after seeing him at the Venice Film Festival, that dream's looking shaky. Without his trademark bulk, The Rock doesn't have the same larger-than-life aura that made him a legend in the ring. Sure, he could pop in for a quick cameo or a fiery promo, but the idea of him main-eventing WrestleMania again, that's starting to feel like a long shot. One fan nailed it perfectly online, saying, "It's hard to be the final boss when you're half your size." And honestly, that stings because it's true. The Rock was always the mountain every rival had to climb, the physical presence that screamed dominance. But now, unless he bulks back up, a match like Rock vs. Rhodes or Rock vs. Reigns just doesn't have the same fire it would have had a couple of years ago. And knowing The Rock's reputation, his pride probably wouldn't let him step into the ring looking smaller than the guy across from him. But he's not the only one facing that shift. Another wrestling powerhouse turned actor, Dave Bautista, has also noticeably slimmed down in 2024. Recent photos showed him looking way leaner than before, a clear sign that even the toughest bodies have to adapt. Bautista's a few years older than The Rock, and just like him, it seems he's choosing longevity over size. Bautista's decision to slim down sent the same unspoken message loud and clear. At a certain age, that kind of bulk just isn't worth it anymore.
I noticed like the more I trimmed down, the better I felt. And I also noticed the more I trimmed down, the better I looked on camera.
The risks are sky high, and the toll it takes on the body is brutal. He even admitted it himself. After bulking up to over 300 pounds for Knock at the Cabin, he said carrying that much weight was flat out miserable. To get his health back on track, he changed everything: his diet, his training, even his mindset. Through intermittent fasting and intense jiu-jitsu sessions, Batista shed the extra size, saying the lighter frame made him feel faster, healthier, and more at peace in his own skin. It wasn't about vanity, it was survival. Sure, the leaner look was a bonus, but his main focus was simple: longevity and quality of life. What's striking is how his transformation lined up almost perfectly with The Rock's. Both men hit that same age where your body starts fighting back, forcing some tough decisions. But that's where their paths split. Because even though The Rock and Batista ended up in similar physical territory, the way they've handled Hollywood couldn't be more different.
Accomplished is not something I'm after. You know, I'm more of, I like to think that I'm a character actor and I'm after diverse roles. You know, I think we all want different things.
Batista never chased the same kind of fame machine The Rock did. Yeah, he blew up in Guardians of the Galaxy, but instead of pumping out endless action blockbusters, he made a totally different move. He went after roles that challenged him. He sought out serious directors and stories that demanded depth, not just muscles. That's how he landed in films like Blade Runner 2049, Dune, and Knives Out. Those projects didn't just keep him relevant, they earned him respect. He built a reputation as a serious, versatile actor, someone filmmakers actually want to work with, not just a guaranteed box office name. Batista treats acting like a craft. He studies, listens, and disappears into every role. The Rock, though, has always been about image and power. Every choice seems built around one question: how tough will it make him look? How big will it sell? And how will it boost his brand? It's always been about control and ego. That's why the timing of the Smashing Machine and Lizard music is so interesting. In 2 back-to-back films, he's gone both bigger and smaller than ever. He bulked up huge to play Mark Kerr, then dropped serious weight to become the Chicken Man, a fragile, older character. On paper, they look opposite, but both moves point to one thing. He's chasing the last thing he hasn't won: credibility as an actor. Because when it comes to money, fame, and success, he's already done it all.
Can increase LDL, lower HDL, and does a host of negative things to your body. Hence, The Rock had to make a change, or he wouldn't be able to change ever again because he'd no longer be with us.
But his usual formula? It's cracking. Black Adam was hyped as his passion project, a game changer for DC. Instead, it bombed. Behind the scenes, he tried steering the franchise his way, even pushing for Henry Cavill's return as Superman. But when the movie flopped, so did the plan, and The Rock got sidelined quietly. Then Red One dropped and got roasted online for being another overdone blockbuster. Streaming didn't help either. Movies like Red Notice may have scored big numbers, but critics called them hollow and predictable. It's clear people are tired of the same image. The Rock's finally realizing muscles alone won't keep his legacy alive. It's time to prove he's more than just a brand. The stories, the rumors, the myths, they've all started stacking up. For years, people saw The Rock as the people's champ, the unstoppable underdog who made it to the top. At one point, nearly half of Americans said they'd vote for him if he ran for president. He was seen as the ultimate success story: strong, charming, and unbeatable. But lately, that shine's wearing off. More and more fans are starting to see him less as a real person and more as a product.
The Rock has been outed for lying not once, twice, 3 times, but multiple times. For example, you all remember The Rock said, "Hey, this is my first time in this fast food restaurant."
A character built by Hollywood just like the one he played in WWE. His movie career has only amplified that image. Huge, powerful, but not exactly authentic. Now, these new films, The Smashing Machine and Lizard music, feel different. They're not just new roles, they're part of a full-blown reinvention. It's like he's finally chasing something he's never truly had: respect. But the gamble goes far beyond the box office. His entire empire, his tequila brand, energy drinks, clothing lines, all depend on that image of him being superhuman. A leaner, older Rock might be healthier, but it's not the same comic book figure his brand was built on. It's risky, but maybe it's the smartest move he's ever made. Because here's the truth: people admired The Rock, but they never really related to him. He was a symbol of success, not someone who reminded them of themselves. Now, with time showing on his face and the muscle stripped away, he finally looks human, and that might make him more powerful than ever. So here's the question: will fans accept this new version of The Rock, or do they still want the untouchable icon he used to be? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives just like this.